My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. License plate 9 Barry Xavier Paul 669. Edward Apple 2 Wendy 18, that's a paper plate, a Latina female with long brunette hair, is stalking on D Street with the Ontario International Airport that's following as I'm walking down the street. License 4 Daniel Kelly Yolanda 451 and is stalking at what is 411 D Street. This is D Street, where they're engaged in that pattern of conduct together, stalking where they live. This is the entity that committed kidnapping. That includes this kidnapper, license Edward Apple 25 Wendy 18, committing kidnapping and stalking with the government. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted for this ongoing terrorism. 6 Wendy Sam Victor 374, Zebra Edward Sandy Henry Zebra Nancy Thomas, P.O.C. Surveillance at the intersection, 7 Larry Frank Zebra 755. 7 Zebra George Wendy 301, and 9 Paul Edward Barry 724. They're engaged in surveillance at the intersection, D Street and Vine as I approach. Stalking where they live, committing kidnapping with the government, in furtherance of murder. This is P.O.C. License 6 Nancy Yolanda Edward 846, 9 George Xavier Edward 985.
5 Victor Queen Apple 201, 7 Mary 0 Charlie 569. The same plane activity that you can hear while I'm at the Ontario Town Square, and the entity is not engaging in a takeoff. The entity is also never rising in elevation such that the planes are maintaining an ongoing nuisance throughout the city, as opposed to taking off and departing from an airport, which is the ordinary and legitimate and lawful operations of an airport. The Ontario International Airport is stalking, and the Ontario International Airport is stalking by maintaining all manner of elevation of flight at every location where I'm at in the city of Ontario. Also, okay, passing from what is Euclid Avenue, the 60 freeway, Economy Inn, hovering over my hotel room. Okay, even when I've documented while I'm in the bathroom, the entity's sounding plane activity while they're monitoring my vagina. That's the sex offender that is the Ontario International Airport, to what is being inside of Tracy Banks's apartment at 408 West G Street, at the intersection between Vine and G Street, where the entity is again amplifying plane activity while I'm inside of her living room, and I play it on video, and you can hear the plane activity and the helicopter activity while I'm sitting in her living room. This is the entity that is stalking. And all of that is in the body of the evidence. But the entity is engaging in what is this pattern of conduct of stalking with planes while I'm at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. License 8 Uncle Nancy Uncle 558. These are demons who are stalking with the airport that's maintaining ongoing flights while I am en route, okay? Doing so as a facilitating venue, doing so as somebody that is working or shopping at that venue, they are stalking. License, and it's currently 7:17 a.m. And the ongoing evidence of that is this entity that is engaging in not just presence, they also happen to be molesting with light that's not even naturally occurring. 9 Paul Victor Sam 190. This is how the people of the state expose themselves. And nobody forgot how you expose yourself. You want to be a demon in one video and then separate yourself in the next. Oh, I don't know. This is how the entity is short-sighted. These are unintelligent creatures. These aren't human beings. These are dead people. These are demon-possessed people. And that's also why you have that ongoing wicked, diabolical conduct. The entity that is stalking, and they're engaged in heavy-duty surveillance, and they're stalking and committing kidnapping together, and then they're hostile because of what it is that they're listening to me state. They don't like how they're being described. These demons are hostile because of my documentation, but you are a stalker, though. Listen to the plane activity. This is at Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is the plane activity at the square last night. That's east of this location. It's P.O.C. Standard Barber is stalking. That's 6 Frank George Edward 668 and 72097G3. That's the Ontario International Airport that is stalking over the shopping center, where you've already seen the fake sun rising and setting. You've also seen these demons fly through that fake sun. That was at 11:16 in the morning. Covering up the fake sun is never going to remove that idiocy off of the internet or out of a federal case to prosecute both the people of the state, the entire entity, but the airport, the airlines, and the entity that is the Ontario Village Shopping Center, the people of the state, the Stater brothers. They're all in position knowing that I'm around and also engaging in what is vagina monitoring, in position for that. Exceedingly violent sex offense that's committed in furtherance of murder. Everybody that's in the parking lot stalking with that airport. It's 6 Frank David 642. 91406 Xavier 1. Robert 29 Jerry 136. 8 Yolanda Nancy Charlie 992. 8 Thomas Bob George 183. 8 Mary Indiana Apple 863. Safeguard on Demand is gang stalking. I already got that on video also. 9 George Jerry Apple 787. 5 Robert Charlie George 192. 7238 Robert Edward Yolanda. 6 Uncle 51092. The documentation that I published just the other day, and I'm reminding you about the entity having the fake sun over me at 7 in the morning. That was December 13, 2025, and I come to the laundromat, the same Ontario Village Shopping Center, the fake sun over me, 7:12 a.m. at the same shopping center, and you're mindful of the entity that has a fake sun over me as I'm documenting 11:16, where these demons that are stalking in commercial planes are flying through that fake sun that's remaining over the same village. 6 Kelly Sam Zebra 087 stalking in the path. 7 David Mary David 284 under a fake sun. It's all under a fake sun. They're all stalking. 99191 Larry 2. This is the entity that's engaging in that together, and they committed kidnapping. And they're doing so, I just want to be clear, Tracy Banks is stalking. Tracy Banks is stalking like she's going to get away with what all of the crimes that she's committed, including in my name, trying to frame me for it. Tracy Banks is kidnapping as though she's going to get away and she's going to remain outside of the walls of a federal prison for conspiring my murder, for engaging in solicitation of murder, attempted murder, for stealing my identity, stealing my property, defaming my character in order to do so, and doing so with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, who is gay for pay, gay for sex rituals, gay on a bi-weekly basis. This demon's engaged in that pattern of conduct together with this entity, and they are gang leaders. The entity is engaged in what is that which is not going to occur. They're targeting and stalking, and the entity is engaging in conduct that they're not going to steal my money, but this is relevant because the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking is doing so in furtherance of murder, doing so while it is already exposed that you're engaging in gang stalking and furtherance of murder. And the fact that it's exposed, it's all over the internet that you're gang stalking and furtherance of murder, and it's no longer a secret, whatever, what in any manner. And the entity's engaging in this as though I'm going to get my check, I'm going to get my property, the entity's going to yield what belongs to me, and they're just going to steal it back. They're going to take it from me, they're going to rob me, they're going to kill me, and nobody's going to know what's happening. This is what the entity is doing. This is also relevant to informing what is the federal government and informing their federal prosecution. They are indeed engaged in what is obsessive and delusional, not only the pattern of conduct, but what they're doing with regard to what objective. Now, before that death spell kicks in, you're just stalking me before you drop because you're not getting any of my money and my property. You're not going to get any from me voluntarily, and you certainly aren't going to take anything by force. And gang stalking me did not help your case. So the entities in your case in federal court, you're going to prison. Everybody, you're listening to my voice and you know who you are. While you lie to yourself every day, getting up, still stalking and monitoring, doing so as a citywide effort. The entity, Hazelwood, Owens, hostile terrorists, the people of the state, hostile terrorists, sexually violating, psychopathic pacing because you don't like your mental illness being exposed while you're stalking somebody else that you stole from. While you worship me, you're delusional. And this is an entity that's engaging in what is stalking and furtherance of murder. They will not be taking, and this is what they're interested in, until the moment that I receive money and property from me. They're going to stalk me every second, and they're going to steal it. They're going to rob me for it, and they're going to take it away and abscond away with this. These are demons that are going to be prosecuted. This is P.O.C. The San Bernardino, this is San Bernardino County, but this is Stater Brothers at 646 West HOLT, where the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and as the evidence also reflects, where the entity is stalking me as a city, like the city of Ontario is, and so is the population, so is every company, and so is David Quinones of the Stater Brothers, where I'm at right now on surveillance cameras at 7:23 a.m. P.O.C. Every employee and everybody comes into the store to engage in psychopathic pacing, stalking in a grocery store at that. This is the mentally ill that committed kidnapping, and Stater Brothers committed kidnapping. P.O.C.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. That's a stalker. UPS, that's a murderer. They're gang stalking, they're serial killers, and so is this P.O.C. And this is the fake son, just so that you can be confirmed and not be
confused. This fake sun is over this same venue when I'm walking to the OVITT Family Community Library, when I'm walking to the library both at 10 in the morning to go in, when I'm walking like I documented the other day coming from Stater Brothers where it's remaining and these demons are walking in that which is impossible to exist while not looking at you, talking to you, and the government's just coincidentally following throughout the city, doing so while the fake sun is over the same 240 North Euclid Avenue amongst what is impossible light. On this side, opposite of this fake sun, that's in a position that is impossible to coexist with remaining over David Quinones, who's monitoring my vagina at Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt, where the entity is maintaining that light source in an entirely different location, which is why when I'm across the street at 215 C Street and the entity is stalking under a fake sun that's over that building before I've even made it to the OVITT Family Community Library, and that's where I am approaching this same library after 1 p.m. in this fake sun behind the downtown Ontario luxury apartments right here, where the population that doesn't talk to you, doesn't speak to you while they're conspiring your murder and stalking you, engaging in what is stalking with impossible light. And this is another iteration of it. While they drive through it and it's on the wall. 7XKS480. They also engage in what is molesting me as though it's going to shoot off of their vehicle. This is the mentally ill. 8 Edwards Xavier Wendy 623. He is stalking. And this entity committed kidnapping, including him. If they're not natural born citizens, they're being deported. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down, committing and still engaging in what is obsessive stalking. And Jason Isaac Fields is going to prison if his sex partner, Tracy Banks, is going to federal prison. So is he. They conspired together, and he is delusional with regard to gang stalking me, stealing from me, and then thinking that you're going to be in my face and it's going to be anything other than what is a prosecution of that delusional and threatening effort. This is the pattern of conduct. It's 7:58 a.m. at the 240 North Euclid Avenue, where that light you see rapidly becomes more concentrated, and it's not even the sun. The entity is maintaining the fake sun. Remember, over the coin laundry, it's still there. Where City of Ontario is stalking in the large blue buses. They show the impossible light all over, stalking by plane and helicopter. And then the next day, when I go somewhere else, they're engaged in that same maintenance of that implausible, scientifically impossible crime scene, where they're more obsessively stalking me than paying attention to the fact that they're exposed. They committed kidnapping. Also, they committed kidnapping because they're embarrassed. But they're so embarrassed and desperate that they're still doing it, and people like Fields are going to prison for it. He shall not come anywhere near me. He's going to prison for conspiring my murder, and he is still gang stalking me and furtherance of murder. He's not getting $1. You're not going to steal my money either, and you're also not going to force me to do anything that I'm not going to do. What I'm going to do is prosecute you, all of you who are listening and watching. P.O.C. Stalking as an entity that's replicating the same impossible occurrences over and over again is the entity that committed kidnapping. And understand that this is the entity that is actively engaging in psychological torture in order to murder someone. And this is the entity that is, again, this is what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks plan to continuously engage in, even while they've been exposed for what they sought to do as a government system secretly, and now they're doing it in front of the whole world, and they're doing it with the delusion that they're going to get a dime of my money and property, and they're going to prison for gang stalking in the first place, and they're going to prison with regard to the delusional effort that they continuously engage in while the people of the state are stalking. The Ontario International Airport, Sarah's Regis Group, the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, fake sun is over me, and I'll connect videos that you can look at on YouTube where you will see the fake sun over me while UPS is also stalking, hovering at 4 p.m. where the fake sun's over me at the same apartment complex. I just walked to this OVITT Family Community Library a few days ago, and 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the fake sun's over me at the same location, the Wells Fargo, the OVITT Family Community Library, the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. These demons are engaged in psychopathic pacing in and out of the garage, psychopathic pacing on C Street, psychopathic pacing while they cross path with me and are targeting me with that which is impossible to occur, light shining and this is a demon that's crossing path behind me. So they're just stopping in the middle of the parking lot, stalking. Hefty. License EG557V19, that's paper. But the entity is engaging in what it's targeting with impossible light activity in the same way that they are at the same parking garage when I'm documenting this apartment complex while I'm at the Ontario Town Square, and they're stalking with the same airport. Your headlights aren't reaching on or touching me or affecting me or shining on the wall beside me while I'm at the square. And also sunlight first of all, the sun isn't going to be over this location all day. And thirdly, this is not sunlight that they're targeting with. These are demons who are monitoring. And they're also mentally ill while you analyze the behavior, what they know while they continuously engage in what they are doing. License 9KZR416. Engaging what is stalking with the Ontario International Airport. This demon is driving a white Tesla. He appears to be a tall, perhaps a Caucasian male, maybe Latino. He's engaged in what is the pattern of conduct in operation of his device while the airport is stalking. His license plate is 9UIB551, and he's using the Tesla charger station to engage in criminal surveillance, conspiring by murder, stalking with the government using planes, which he is engaging in to psychologically torture me, doing so while he intends the same criminal objective, having committed kidnapping, and keeping my vagina under surveillance in furtherance of murdering me with that government. This is what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are cooperating with while they're gang stalking me, and it's all state action. License 6KH Charlie 081, 8PAA 159, 9SEC 977. I documented some of these in text while I'm inside of the parking garage, and one demon after another engaging in what is impossible. Not only is it not sunlight as you break it down, remember, I'm remaining at the bus stop. If the fake sun is over me at the bus stop, then what is hanging over the parking garage while demons are engaging in what is context? They're pacing. They're pacing all around while the fake sun's in a different position. The fake sun's in all, not only in a different position, but that's not sunlight. That's not sunlight while they're all targeting, proving that they're stalking, knowing exactly who I am, and they committed kidnapping. They stole my property as well. They also engaged in what is, worshiping my genitalia, stalking me and following me into bathrooms on behalf of the government that stalks me in planes and helicopters. That is fully exposed and targeting someone that has told on them. And not only is it not stopping them from targeting, these demons are delusional such that you're getting any of my money or that you're going to continue to steal my money. This is how I'm able to prosecute Saris Regis Group. License 9GBH524. The fake sun over the apartment complex is that entire apartment complex sharing in that government system. Everybody inside of that apartment building, including the employee who you will see, it's a heavyweight Latina female, she's standing in the engineer light. And that's intentional and knowledge while the airport is stalking. And doing so while the demon-possessed are engaged in psychopathic pacing with vehicles, targeting me with impossible light. That's Saris Regis Group employees that are gang stalking. It's the same exact pattern of conduct no matter what the address or the location or the company or the means, in other words, of that pattern of conduct is underway. And that's a prosecution of Saris Regis Group. 7MAP786. The Ontario International Airport is stalking me by flying over this same apartment building as I documented on December 18, 2025. That was just the other day, right before this kidnapping at 3 in the morning on December 19th. And the airport is stalking, and the fake sun is over my head at this same apartment building, across the street from the OVITT Family Community Library, not already over the OVITT Family Community Library, where it remains from a point of entry until the end of the day. And that's where the airport is stalking with Saris Regis Group. Saris Regis Group is stalking in furtherance of murder and is making money as a corrupt property management company. P.O.C. providing a crime scene. Molesting is Saris Regis Group and this third-party license plate. That's a sex offender that engages in sexually violating you, kidnapping you, threatening to kidnap you, doing so while they are engaging in what are gang stalking you. 9PXB987. License 8SUS 710. And that sex offense is occurring by Saris Regis Group. Just want to be clear on that. License 14584L2, and that third party in particular, the entity is going to be prosecuted. I'm documenting them, but I'm going to prosecute the business. I'm going to prosecute the government. I'm prosecuting the government that's acting with gang stalking businesses that are profiting off of murder, profiting off of kidnapping, and helping murderers like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. License 8ZHC673. Murderers like the Ontario Police Department. License T792YC. And that's Utah. License Edward Henry 00 Wendy 08. That's paper. License, I documented this. I'm going to read it again. Edward George 55V19 paper. 9 Apple Mary Kelly 019. 9 Jerry Zebra David 464. 9 Kelly Zebra Robert 416. It's currently 9:20 a.m. License 8 Robert Indiana Wendy 900. 9 David Yolanda Paul 052. Barry Sam Edward Robert 97. 8 Henry Uncle Nancy 304. 8 Jerry Larry Nancy 525. 9 Edward Nancy Charlie 075. 9 Robert Nancy Uncle 766. 9 Sam Uncle Zebra 234. 9 Jerry Frank Henry 388, 7 Sam Mary Jerry 480. And this same venue is engaged in vagina monitoring while the demons are stalking me in the bathroom, pacing all around. What are they doing while the fake sun's over the OVITT Family Community Library and all of the gang stalking employees of that venue are pacing in and out? That's what they're doing in the engineer light. They're pacing. These are mentally ill demons. These are not human beings. These are not sane people. First of all, they are criminals. What you need to know that these criminals are demon possessed. Satan is using them to go back and forth all around me. They're all engaging in what is, again, that embarrassing satanic ritual where they're dressed up in black hooded cloaks, cloaking themselves in black hooded robes, and they're chanting out loud with a whole bunch of cats cut up all around them, and they're pacing obsessively until they get dizzy, they puke on themselves, and then they start having sex with each other. That's the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking, as I'm caricaturizing what is this delusional and ineffective witchcraft. They're engaged in pacing in the engineer light inside of a building, and they're all stalking. This is what they're doing in the grocery store. This is what they're doing on the bus. This is what they're doing on the roads and the highways. This is what they're doing in the parking garage. This is what they're doing in a library. This is what they're doing while I'm at the square and they're surrounding. This is what they're doing in planes and helicopters, pacing all around me. The demon possessed that engage in rituals as they commit murder. That's what the system of gang stalking is. And the entity is doing that in front of all of you. And they committed kidnapping. Hazelwood and Owens committed kidnapping as a hostile entity. Mad, in other words. This is what is motivating Hazelwood, and you'll see this demon at the beginning of that video. Pay attention. He and the people of the state, this male that's on my right side, and Hazelwood's on the left side. Pay attention to what Hazelwood is doing. He's walking and he's in step with the male that's on the opposite side. Those demons are pacing and engineered light, molesting me with light. And Hazelwood and the people of the state, they're demons. Not only is it you're stalking, all they're doing is stalking wearing police uniforms. That was a kidnapping, and while they engage in criminal summoning, they are stalking. They are stalking because Satan thinks I can wear a uniform and I can conspicuously stalk you and I can call out laws that you're in violation of because I'm going to play the sheriff, and then I'm going to arrest you if you don't listen to what I state because I have authority because I'm wearing this badge here and this gun on my hip here, and it's a demon-possessed gang stalker. That's also very, very angry because of what I say about Satan on my podcast, that Satan is keeping under surveillance. Satan is stalking. They're pacing around as they commit kidnapping. License 5A Kelly Victor 242. Not even driving in sunlight. Stalking. This is the sunlight. Nor is sunlight shooting off of your car. Nor did anybody forget that body of evidence of what they do everywhere that they're doing it. Nor did anyone forget that the fake sun is over this same apartment building where I'm standing right now, hours from now, after 1 o'clock, where the airport does not have any takeoffs from 2500 Airport Drive, Terminal 2 or 4, where you're hovering over this apartment building that has the sun over it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30 to be exact, 1:31. This is the entity that has a whole crime scene set up with regard to pacing all around me, chanting out loud around cut open dead cats, while they call themselves in the middle of the night under a fake moon, going around in circles over and over again for hours, until they get so dizzy that they puke on themselves, and that's when they have their sex ritual aspect, and they call that witchcraft. This is the entity, it's not effective witchcraft, it's the entity that's exposing its mental illness that the world needs to know about, and it requires martial law. The entity is engaging in what is organized murder, serial killings, and then the demons that keep themselves employed call themselves an Ontario Police Department and conduct an investigation and conduct an autopsy to find out what happened, find out where that person went, and they're engaging in criminal conduct with the defendant Tracy Banks, with the defendant Jason Isaac Fields, with the demon-possessed people of the state that are engaging in that criminal activity on behalf of that entity. They're pacing around me together while they commit kidnapping together at the same bus stop where the fake sun is present over me from 7 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at the screenshot of the location where I was kidnapped, where my property was stolen from me, and then look at the citation that was written by the state actor. Hazelwood's going to federal prison, and he's a demon-possessed psychopath pacing around me before he puts his hands on me. Him and Owens, they're both going to prison. And the people of the state are going to prison as well. They engage in criminal summoning with that agency. The agency that is always stalking, and then they engage in some legitimate act of law enforcement. No, you're stalking, and you're going to prison for being so delusional. License plate 7KDY324. They're not driving in sunlight, they're stalking. And you're also stalking when I get released from kidnapping, and you're engaging in the same stalking conduct in that same environment. This is the entity that's delusional. You're not stealing my money. I'm not fearful of you stealing you're not going to steal a dime. And not only that, you're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison, where people who are psychotic like that, who engage in these acts of a whole organized system, who climb into multi-million-dollar planes in order to stalk one person, they belong in cages with padded rooms to keep them from digging into their anuses and eating their feces and spreading it all over the wall and putting it on other people. They're going into facilities where they will be locked down 23 hours a day. Well, they will be subject to a battery of tests and routinely examined. Because that's where demons stalking in planes, stalking in helicopters, stalking as a population, stalking in unheard of manners, such as with light that's not even naturally occurring. Because you call yourself a magician. You're not a magician. You're a mental health patient, and that's where you're going. This entity of demons committed kidnapping. Moreover, they committed kidnapping as a pattern of conduct. They've been engaging in this for years. While Tracy Banks and this entity, they've just been rolling in the dough, my dough. And gang stalking me is not causing you any sort of victory. You're delusional. Just like I said at the outset, you're delusional for gang stalking. You're delusional thinking that you're going to have some sort of victory with my money and property. Nobody's scared of any demon. You're going to federal prison, and you're going to the crazy people part, where you can be routinely seen by that lady. That's where you're going. And you can be angry with that lady because nobody cares about how a feces consumer feels. You don't even function with reality. You stalk people under a fake sun. You try to cover up the fact that you smell like feces with expensive cologne that you can't even afford. You steal from other people to buy it. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And they're stalking on C Street, license plate. BN090, handicap, license 4067284, license plate, one demon after another. Not only is it a pattern of conduct that's impossible to occur, they're all doing the same impossible thing over and over and over again. That's the entity, the City of Ontario, that has no authority under the municipal code. Okay? The Ontario International Airport, they have no intentions of remaining open as an airport, and they are exposing the mental illness of a population. This is relevant to the diagnosis of Hazelwood and Owens, and the male that's pacing on video in engineered light. And what you see Hazelwood doing in that video at 3 in the morning is relevant to what a whole population is doing. They were pacing on Euclid Avenue, monitoring together, while Hazel and Owens conduct what is license 7YJE246, the federal offense of sexual assault and battery, theft of property, kidnapping, and exercise of fictitious authority while you're stalking. 9VZA384, a desperate vagina monitoring sex offender of the male gender. Everybody and Wells Fargo are engaged in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder. Everyone and Sarah's Regis Group engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and furtherance of murder. Everybody, including the City of Ontario, the Ontario Town Square, is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and furtherance of murder. The people of the state, the millions of people that are gang stalking on the roads and the highways, engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and furtherance of murder, while the airport provides evidence against the entire government. And I'm going to prosecute because the government committed kidnapping. The government stole my property, and the government did so because you're angry that I'm exposing you, which is a whole other level of your severe mental instability. Severely mentally ill. While these puppets are pacing all around, 8 Nancy Henry David 604 committed kidnapping, is a violent sex offender, and is engaged in what is ongoing stalking in doing so. Still stalking. P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that acts as one, and they're doing so while they keep the evidence exposing them and exposing their mental illness under surveillance. That's a whole other type of threat. Understand, you're not just a stalker. You're a stalker that knows that you're not secretly targeting somebody, and then that motivates you to stalk some more. Under no circumstances is that ever in anybody's imagination. You're all witnessing the mentally ill that need to be removed far away from planes and helicopters, where they engage in murdering themselves, killing themselves and murdering other people in the same way that they are gang stalking. Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, stalking with the Ontario International Airport. And Wells Fargo is stalking. The fake sun is over me for their criminal monitoring purposes. 9LYL664 is stalking with that airport. It's a Latino couple, old Latino couple. That's the type. If they're not natural-born citizens, they're being deported. And the same impunity with which they engage in terrorism, there will be no second-guessing. Deport them and like feeling bad for, these are bad people, in other words. This is what I'm getting to. This is evil. This is straight evil. And these are people that have committed mass suicide as well, because they've engaged in what is a practice of witchcraft that is exposing nothing other than mental illness. And then they commit kidnappings because they're embarrassed by the way that they are truthfully depicted in evidence to prosecute them. And they're engaging in more of that criminal conduct, such as kidnapping. When you're stalking, and so I don't know what government thinks, you don't have authority under the law. When you are, first of all, the one that created the circumstances, and you're delusional with regard to engaging in that, and you're not going to the crazy people part in prison, because that's where Hazelwood is going. Hazelwood is severely mentally unstable. You're going to analyze the evidence in all of my encounters with this stalker that's engaging in what is stalking me with light, and is also engaging in what is showing animosity while he is embarrassed because of the way in which he is incompetent, and he is also professionally incompetent with regard to how he is targeting me. He doesn't like how he's being described while he's targeting me. When you could just not be stalking me and I won't embarrass you. Okay, so this is why you're throwing my property away in the trash. This is why you steal my property on a Friday. The entities engage in that over the weekend. And I can't, so I'm without my money, without my property, without my identification, even though all these demons know who I am. But these are the type of things that the entity engages in when they're harassing you, and they're doing so. You're going to prison for all of that. I just want to be clear. You're not taking my inheritance. You're not keeping none of my property. You're going to prison. Nobody is scared of somebody that sits around eating their own poo. This has not caused me to be fearful of anything. The airport's getting shut down. What is there to be scared of? You're the one that's scared and desperate. You're out here stalking in plain view, and you know that it's over with. That's how desperate and suicidal you are. Everybody knows that a whole airport is stalking an American citizen. Unheard of, but fully proven. And you're so desperate, you already know that it's over, so you're just doing it in plain view. Nobody is scared of you, Satan. The airport's being shut down. The police department knows that it's over. That's why they committed kidnapping, because they already know that it's over. That, however, you're going to analyze. Even at the end of the road, this entity is committing kidnapping and seeking to oppress the target individual in any way that they can. And it's also relevant because the federal government does nothing about it. It's not okay, but it's okay because I'm going to prosecute. I'm going to prosecute for that. You're losing your freedom. You're going to be locked down. That's what justice requires. You engage in this, you're going to be locked down. You're going into a cell. Justice is mandating that. That's the only type of justice that will suffice. It's not enough for me to get a check. It's not enough for you to acknowledge what you've done. I don't want that. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. 8 Victor Xavier Frank 855. 9 Frank Mary David 502. 8 Yolanda Jerry Sam 397. Gang stalking at Wells Fargo. All these demons are engaged in psychopathic pacing under a fake sun. At nightfall, these sex offenders, by the masses that you hear right now, all these demons in all 4 lanes, monitoring vagina, 61375 Robert 2, stalking with the government, 9 Jerry Henry Apple 712, committing kidnapping as an entity, 9 Nancy Victor Edward 820 with the minor child, engaging what is obstruction of justice because they're hostile, that they're exposed as a demon-possessed, mentally ill population, 9 PBE 160. Not strangers in that environment targeting you. 5WXU023. Listening to every word while they're exposed simultaneously. 5LRX342. 9LXJ191, a threat to children and the public. 1040C, handicap. Handicap for more than one reason. Not by a categorization of the DMV, but because they are psychopaths who commit serial killings, who have sex with children, who steal from people and set those people up, who are maniacal psychopaths who are enraged and hostile to your exposing the truth about them. That's what gang stalking is exposing about this population. This is a population of demons. These people are dead. They're demons. And I'm going to prosecute the demonic companies such as Wells Fargo and Sarah's Regis Group. Gang stalking with the airport, pacing on the streets, stalking with the possible light. All these demons are under the same street after 6 p.m., which I documented during daylight savings time. 7 Frank 82455, stalking a woman and furtherance of murder. 9 Edward Yolanda Berry 461. 8 Apple Sam Zebra 521. 7 GUZ 560. 85364W3. 8 PRP 149. 03249 Thomas 1. Stalking license plate 8 NSL 646. 95757 Frank 3. And Wells Fargo is inside of a bank engaging what is criminal surveillance. Your banking information is not private. They are currently in violation of existing state and federal laws while they're engaged in criminal surveillance, moreover with their own customers and the government. Criminal surveillance is underway. You're living under an illusion in the United States regarding privacy. Not only as a target individual, a whole entity is aware of all of your banking details. And then they claim, oh, I was stolen from, and my banking information was somehow stolen online. No, you're under surveillance. They're not telling you about that. And your neighbors know what's going on with your bank. Your neighbors are demons who are engaged in monitoring you with the government. And your banking information is not even private. And it's very easy for that to happen. The entity maintains that information whether or not they act on it, but they're looking at what you're looking at on your phone. They're listening to what you are listening to in your home. They are listening to your conversation regarding the transactions. These are demons who are appearing as people who are engaging in this gang stalking system. You're applying that to the corrupt businesses of banks like Wells Fargo. That's the P.O.C. And I'm going to prosecute them not only based on violating my rights, because I was formerly a consumer of Wells Fargo, financing my education and paying back, and all of that information was all public. I'm going to prosecute for that. Not only that, they're conspiring my murder and gang stalking as a company with the people of the state. Those demons are walking in and out of the bank, pacing, stalking, and so are the employees. License plate 9JPW471. That's how the fake sun is over this Wells Fargo as I walk outside of this OVITT Family Community Library at 4 o'clock in the evening. This is a poor imitation of the natural environment. These are idiots. They're just stalkers. They're not smart. They commit kidnapping and you never hear from the targeted individual again. That's not happening here. You committed a kidnapping, you're going to prison, and I'm going to continuously drag you and I'm going to embarrass you. Hazelwood's going to a ward. Mental professionals are going to analyze that. Hazelwood and Owens are going into wards. Their mental illness is put on full display. So is this population. So are the demons associated with every gang stalking airline. Their mental illness in the body of the evidence. They're going to be diagnosed and they're going to be prosecuted just like any other mentally ill stalker is and shall be. Or even in traditional stalking cases. A judge that's engaging what is ruling in a superior court case, based on the facts here, the court suggests that the defendant be subject to some mandatory commitment in order to diagnose or, survey the mind state based on the facts, the way in which you were stalking somebody, the way in which you kept stalking them when they clearly stated, can you stop following me around? Or why are you following me around? It's naturally including what is your mental state. The fact that you're gang stalking, your mental state is already included in the controversy. Already, you're looking at all the ways and analyzing all the ways that they're stalking and everything that they know while they're still doing it. And you think that as a government, no. More so, justice will be prevailing because it's the government. 9KTT146. Stalking. RM027, and I documented a long time ago she's engaged in surveillance sitting in the vehicle. 9EVG262. And license plate. So the fake sun's over the Wells Fargo at 4 o'clock as I show you outside of the entrance doors of the OVITT Family Community Library. It's an illusion. It's in the same position it is right now, and hours later it's a darker orange and it looks like it's gone. It hasn't gone anywhere. That's why you can still see it, but that's the illusion. The illusion is that they're avoiding mental asylums in prison. 8TIA305, and the only ones who are persuaded by that illusion are the mentally ill themselves, and that's why they eat feces with real stainless steel silverware on expensive saucers that they can't even afford. 9TU8451, their whole fake existence. P.O.C. This is an entity that committed what is kidnapping and theft of my property because they're mad. They stalk me and they sit up and then listen to and watch me on social media, where they're also engaging in surveillance and stealing my ideas. You're going to prison for that. I just want you to know. You're admittedly engaging in what is conspiring my murder while you are targeting not just any person that you like and want to be like. You're targeting somebody that, not coincidentally, but pursuant to your pattern of conduct, is engaged in what is targeting, and the evidence regarding that, the evidence that I'm publishing regarding the fact that I'm being stalked and pursued by a government. That's engaging in what is a criminal objective to commit murder, and you are coincidentally stealing my money and my intellectual property ideas. And how do you even know about me? I have less than 160 subscribers, but that's nothing. That's nothing. And all of those subscribers, they're all gang stalkers. They're all monitoring on the internet. Those aren't fans. Those are the demons that are monitoring. You'll have demons that are with the Ontario Police Department subscribe to that channel. You'll have the demons of the City of Ontario subscribe to that channel. You'll have demons on the other side of the globe who are subscribed to my channel, sharing in this global system of federal group stalking and monitoring me. These are demons who are watching what it is that I've exposed about them, and they're still stalking, and they're looking at, is the witchcraft working while they're pacing around me? And no, they're going to prison. It's not working. They're going to prison and they're embarrassed. License plate 9JEH388, 9JPW471. Jason Isaac Fields sitting up, monitoring, stalking, and doing so, watching on the internet. Is it working? Is the gang stalking working? No, it's not. And if you come around me, you're going to prison for even longer because he's going to prison. 9TJZ841. He shall never be in my presence. This is an unlawful threat posed by the government where this unstable psychopath were to come around me. He's out of his mind. And this is somebody that under no circumstances has any sort of protection under the law. This is a demon that really in his mind thought, you're having sex with my mother for years. First of all, you're gross and you're sick. There's a whole level of sickness behind that. Why are you acting like you're I'm not even going to go into that. He's sick already. But not only that, he's been gang stalking me, knows about my money and property and my true identity. And not only that, he's been targeting for years. Now he's targeting and exposing the fact that he's targeting while this system is exposed. And this demon's plot was that he's going to double. He's some duplicitous identity. Oh, I'm not stalking you. I'm investigating you. And I'm coming to save you. And it's his idea to engage in gang stalking with the demons who are the Ontario Police. Vehicle 1127. That's not a coincidence. Fields is going to prison. He's going to prison. If he ever comes in my presence, he's getting more time in prison with the feces consumers under the fake sun that are stalking in the path while I mention what I mentioned, while they keep my evidence under surveillance. They committed kidnapping. Fields is going to prison as well. His idea is to gang stalk me and kidnap with the Ontario Police Department, and then he's going to come around me. This is a delusional feces consumer. Okay, a bi-weekly homosexual male. Every other week he's gay. Okay, and then the rest of it he's heterosexual, and he's gay for Satan. Okay, he bends over and takes it from men for Satan. He's a demon. And he's engaged in this conduct while those demons are threatening in the environment, while they're listening to what I'm saying about their co-defendant, Jason Fields, who in his sick mind, where he's already having sex with a 60-some-odd-year-old woman who's related to me, having sex with everyone that I know, and is engaging in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder, has already spent money, stolen money, property that belongs to me, including my intellectual property. And this demon, with all of that knowledge, especially while I'm documenting it, putting it all over the internet. In other words, you've been caught. He is out of his right mind, which we already know, were he to come into my presence, because he's getting more time and he's going to be locked up in the ward with his gang stalking grandmother that he's having sex with, Tracy Banks. They're both getting locked up. They're not getting $1. This is an entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct and threatening while they're monitoring me in real time as I expose them. You don't get any more, I'm going to state, you don't get any more retarded than that. These are retards that are stalking me. Retards that are hypersexual and severely mentally inferior and psychologically and intellectually inferior. They're also spiritually inferior. You have no authority. You have none. You have no authority in the physical. The Ontario Police are a bunch of stalkers. I'm going to prosecute you. You don't have authority. And while you sit around acting like you're some sort of authoritative figure and you're not, I'm going to prosecute you for that. And you think it's a game because you committed kidnapping today, but you're going to prison for it tomorrow. And the entities engaging in that with Jason Fields, directly relevant to what I just stated right now. Jason Fields is engaged in every kidnapping, including what Hazelwood and Owens and the people of the state, demons like Fields, monitoring, utilizing witchcraft, sitting up and stalking me online, seeing, is the witchcraft where he's mentally ill? And literally his sex life is evidence of it. He's mentally ill. Not only that, he's engaged in what is theft of my money and property, theft of my identity, acting and targeting me with Tracy Banks. Not smarter than a 5th grader, but trying to conspire against me. And then having the audacity, I wish he would. I wish he would. This is the demon, and he's going to federal prison, and he's not getting $1. He has nothing that he should have and that belongs to me. He's not giving me anything. You're not coming around. We're not talking about anything at all. You're going to prison. PRISON. That's where Fields is going. He's going to prison as a maniacal, obsessed, and desperate psychopath who cannot avoid prison. And everybody that's gang stalking is putting him there. This is his criminal conspiracy to commit murder, to get away with the crimes that he already committed, and thinking that he's going to dump the grandma, and then I'm going to even entertain this hypersexual, homosexual psychopath that stole from me already. This is a demon that's out of his mind. He is out of his mind. This is an entity that's engaged in criminal conduct with the Ontario Police at the moment that I refer to him, and he's engaged in what is threatening through that environment. He's going to prison. 85045G2. Stalking with the demon that's cursing in the background. These are demons that are engaged in what is monitoring the evidence. This is the mental illness that's in the environment. Okay? This is the entity that's the mental illness around all these demons that are monitoring, and that's what's wrong with Jason Fields. 5ZTF647. This psychopath is not coming anywhere near me, and he's angry because his plan to gang stalk me and threaten and frighten me, I'm going to be gang stalked so bad that he's going to come around me, and then I'm just going to be like, oh, my hero. Okay, let's spend my money together. Let's go away. Let's go on a vacation to Jamaica, and we'll be in love, and then you won't be having sex anymore with my mom, right? And you won't be having sex anymore with Shanita and all of the everybody else that I knew, and you're just going to love me, right? And then here you go, here's my money, and you can go ahead and profit off of everything that I created, and I'm so glad that you came to save the day. This is what is in the mind of a feces consumer. That's literally what he planned. Gang stalk me, and then roll in like you're some hero. This is a demon that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And if you pay attention in the background, somebody that I'm not speaking to is addressing, responding. That's a demon. That's Satan. I just want to be clear on that. That's mental illness, and that is also what is wrong with Jason Fields. He will not be coming into my presence. He's an unstable psychopath who carries guns, who abuses his position in order to let pedophiles like Tracy Banks get away with crimes that she's committing, that they share in committing against me. And then this demon tries to separate himself from it, and it's impossible to separate yourself from it. You're a part of everything that I'm documenting right now, including demons that are gang stalking, yelling out profanity into the space where they're monitoring because they're hostile. This is the entire audience that keeps my vagina under surveillance, including that sex offender Jason Fields. Because you have a police department keeping genitalia under surveillance, you're shutting that police department down. It's not a police department. 9 Uncle Henry Larry 257, a vagina monitoring co-conspirator of murder who's exceedingly hostile while they sit around stalking all day, foaming at the mouth, pacing around like psychos, and stalking under a whole fake environment. And then committing kidnapping when they're all when it's exposed on the internet and it's described in the same pathetic manner that it is. That's Satan being a stalker and mad because you're described as a stalker. You're a psycho. This is an entity that's engaging that, but I just want to be clear. This is the entity that engages in that, and they're doing so to their own demise. Because not only are you engaged in what is stalking, you're engaged in what is stalking and furtherance of murder, and you're doing it on behalf of very unintelligent people. You're getting caught up, you're getting locked up, and so are they. And you're not getting $1. And the fact that the entity is gang stalking and you thought that this criminal system was going to help you get closer to my money, that's why you eat feces. That's why. That's how much of a fool you are. That's how much of a fool you are. Fields is not coming anywhere near me. You reek of Tracy Banks' genitalia. You smell of feces in the spirit and in the physical. And you're going to prison for even longer. You are going to prison under all circumstances. You're going to prison for even longer if you are foolish enough to come into my presence because you have been warned over and over and over again. You're already gang stalking me. These unintelligent demons engaging in kidnapping, Fields is going to prison for it. Tracy Banks is already done. She's already done. She's been done. Fields is going to prison for it. This little high school graduate, this little hypersexual retard is engaged in what is stalking and thinks that he can cloak himself as some hero. No, you're not a magician. You are a mental health patient. You're a stalker. You're a thief. You are a liar, a poor performer. You can never think up any of the things that you stole from me. Not only are you giving it back, but it's going to be known who you stole from, who you idolize, all right, and who you lied on. And why you're going to prison for it. I'm the one that put you in prison. Me. You're the loser. You are the criminal. You're the wannabe. You're the demon. You're a Satan-serving psychopath. Where you belong are in those soft padded rooms where these demons are in Ontario police uniforms, in Ontario police vehicles, in Ontario police helicopters, and they put you away for me. Okay, that's how unprepared you are to come against me, and you never should have in the first place. You're getting locked up and you're not getting out. This is an entity that is, I just want to be clear, Fields has, as a thief, has no position to give me anything that belongs to me. It's supposed to occur in a courtroom, and no court has summoned me to testify in any court case. Nobody has given me any notice. Remember that the United States Postal Service, Amazon Prime, DHL, all of these couriers are engaged in gang stalking. Nobody has provided me any notice, and they all know where I'm at as well. It's not that you don't know. They're monitoring. They know exactly where I'm at. I've been given no notice. I've been given no information. I've been given no invitation. No courtroom has told me, and there will be no outside of courtroom negotiations with somebody that's actively trying to kill me. You are delusional, eating too much feces. It's not going to happen. You're going to prison for stealing from me, and I will not be negotiating. I will not be negotiating. And you're a fool to think that you're going to gang stalk me, and then I'm going to have a conversation with you. That's what you get for eating feces. It clearly went to your mind because it's gone. It's gone. It's currently 9:50 a.m. This is P.O.C. The demon that you hear in the background, that's a demon that's mentally ill. That's a spirit that's yelling at the top of his lungs. And it's also a spirit that's operating an Ontario police vehicle while I'm referring to their co-conspirator, the one that solicited murdering me by gang stalking me and kidnapping me and defaming my character. Jason Fields is responsible for every defamatory, libelous word spoken, reflected under my name, and he's going to prison for it because that was part of the ongoing part of the ongoing conspiracy, maintaining that ongoing false depiction of who I am while I'm being gang stalked by that police department. That's the one that's then reporting, oh, she was arrested here and she was arrested for that and she's committed this. And the entities engaged in what is Tracy Banks and Fields are going into courtrooms that he's not even relevant. Literally, who is he? He's a nobody. He's a nobody. He's irrelevant. He's having sex with Tracy. It's not even Tracy's property. He's irrelevant to me. He's not even a friend. He's not even somebody that I would call and send a text message. Hey, I just got a whole bunch of money. I got an inheritance. You want to go spend it together? He's irrelevant. Why is he even involved? It's already information and evidence that he is stealing. He stole from me. And he stole from me with regard to this entity that has conspired against me. And he linked up with Tracy Banks that likes to have sex with people that I formerly associated with. And they're all losers. That's neither here nor there. But it's legally relevant and factually relevant with regard to the co-conspirators of murder, defaming my character. And it also happens to be the fact that they're engaged in what is very embarrassing and humiliating and delusional acts of witchcraft. Like walking around under the fake moon, running in circles under a fake moon at nightfall while they have a whole bunch of cats that they cut wide open with their guts hanging out, and then they chant all around in circles until they get dizzy, they throw up, and that's when Tracy Banks and Jason Fields engage in their sex rituals with all manner of animals. They like to have sex with children. They engage in sexual activity with males and females. These are demons that are sexually demented, and they call that witchcraft. These are, and I'm not exaggerating, Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are very sick individuals, and their criminal acts committed against me is the evidence that is exposing that. This is a demon that really, and this entity really thinks in their mind, thought that in their mind, and engaged in conduct that reveals what they thought. You're going to gang stalk me and continuously steal from me, and when that doesn't work, when it's fully exposed in real time for the federal government that is investigating you while I'm maintaining my investigation, in other words, everybody knows what's going on, that you're still going to gang stalk and engage in this witchcraft, which they also know is real, which is going to be prosecuted regarding your diagnosis for mental illness, while you're engaging in what is conduct that's not mysterious to anyone, as though that's going to still result in some sort of last-minute boomerang and it's going to work out and I'm going to just view you as a friend and not a threat, and I'm just going to drop my case, and all the evidence is going to not make you look like a stalker. All of a sudden it's just going to change, and it's going to look like everything is imagined, and everybody that thought that they saw, oh no, it's all imagined, and all the factual information is just going to flip in your favor, and you're just going to come right alongside me. We're going to skip off into the fake sunset, and you're going to spend all my money, and I'm going to let you. These are demons who are delusional. Gang stalking me is the evidence that you've been stealing from me for years. Gang stalking me is the evidence that you've conspired my murder, in addition to additional corroborating evidence of literally planning and hiring people, soliciting murder. But gang stalking itself is the conspiracy to commit murder by the government and a population, and they're mentally ill. It's public corruption serving what is organized crime of murder and kidnapping by the government. Ontario Police. 76642 Edward 3 4X41095. And where you are engaged in what is stealing from that target individual who was conspired against by the state, you are engaged in that conspiracy to murder. There's no coincidence there that you have access to money and property that target individual would never give you. And then you're going to state what? Oh, I forgot. I'm sane enough to maintain this investigation, but at the same time, I'm crazy, and I forgot that I consented to marrying you on one point or another. I consented to some conservatorship that I'm a part of while I'm out here investigating and maintaining evidence to prove unprecedented criminal conduct by the state. And you think that that's going to support what is your defamation on the internet? And in other words, you're just going to put me on mute, and your evidence is going to supersede that? In what universe? Other than when you're having sex with the judges and the district attorneys and the court clerks and all that, when you're engaging in what is giving them fellatio, where is that going to work? When you're engaging in spell work and hypersexual activity, where is that going to work? Because in reality, where the Ontario Police, like Hazelwood and Owens and the people of the state, engaged in what is psychopathic pacing in the engineered environment, where I'm showing you the fake sun is remaining over that particular location where I was kidnapped, the pattern of conduct, in other words, is underway while you are at nightfall stalking with light, showing mental instability, bearing a gun, wearing a badge, representing an agency that is on the record sharing a pattern of conduct of psychopathic, not just stalking, but psychopathic means of stalking, and then you're engaging what is the exercise of fictitious authority in that environment as a means to target. And it's not forgotten what it is that I'm stating about this agency, about these officers, about the pattern of conduct, and the ways in which you're analyzing any feces consumer that's engaged in any aspect of it. That's also relevant to your kidnapping. In other words, you're mad and you're retaliating. All right, while you engage in what you don't have the authority to do. No gang stalking government has any authority under the law. You don't have authority under the municipal code, under the penal code. You don't have any authority with regard to the city ordinances. You're engaged in stalking and criminal surveillance. That's not giving you authority under the laws where you are both targeting and then you're engaging what is targeting that person and then seeking to enforce the law when you're in violation of the law, and your violation of the law is creating hardships at that, creating what are circumstances that are on the surface appear to be a violation. You're an ignoramus that was unprepared for this. You're going to prison for all of the above. 9 VST 312. And pay attention to those who are engaged in the pattern of conduct. These venues like the OVITT Family Community Library, the OVITT family itself, engaged in what is local government. Very much aware and hostile to the evidence that I'm documenting. Even though you're stalking me, you're monitoring me, psychopaths are hostile and infuriated while you expose that. Nonetheless, but that's fine. You're going to pay attention. These people are being removed from position. You're being removed. All right, but this is an entity that engaged in a comprehensive effort to target me as a city. Ontario is being gutted out. You're being gutted out. No fire department, police department, AMR, they're not even... Oh, yeah, that's without say. They don't have... Ontario Fire is gone. AMR is gone. They're not even a legitimate ambulatory services provider. Those are demons that are hiding behind EMT, which is, again, an emergency with regard to psychopaths that conspire murder, and they're in the medical field. Gang stalking ambulance drivers, that is a threat to the public. But AMR will not be engaged in this anymore. And the gang stalking mayor is being removed from office. The gang stalking city council, the airport, removed. All of this is being gutted out. All of it. All of it. The gang stalking immigrants. Okay? Gang stalking parents. That whole dynamic. Gang stalking abusers of those that bring in, like OPARC and Anthesis, that are engaging in what are abusing those that they drive to this venue to gang stalk under a fake sun and engineer light to monitor my vagina. While they think that they're so slick and clever, nobody sees them. Everybody sees you. The veil has been removed. So they know that they're monitoring, and you're bringing those in that mental condition to participate in criminal conduct and also mentally ill conduct. And you're a whole other level of a psychopath and abusing people under the Welfare and Institutions Code, where you've been entrusted, just like with children. But the entities engage in that, and they engage in more harms. This is relevant with regard to how you're going to expose and prosecute when you're aware of everything that the entity is doing in this environment where they're targeting somebody. There's a lot of policies that need to be changed, but I just want to be clear. You don't have any authority under the law, and this is what I've been exposing for years. And under no circumstances is this some sort of carpet rolled out for some demon that's gang stalking me and is obsessed and masturbating while he's keeping my vagina under surveillance with these demons that are gang stalking, for example, at the OVITT Family Community Library. And then you're going to roll in like I've been investigating the whole time. I've been protecting you the whole time. Where were you at when the entity was engaged in what is still on my property and battering me at the Ontario Town Square? Because you were sitting on the internet watching me upload it, seeing how it's affecting me, seeing if the witchcraft is working. You were still spending my money and still having sex with Tracy Banks and still engaging in what is criminal monitoring. You are not protecting anything. You've been targeting for years, and you're going to prison. And nobody is confused about that. You're the only one who's confused, and you should be, because you're an inferior spirit. That is relevant to the mental illness of Jason Fields. He's going to prison. The domestic terrorists go to federal prison. There's no negotiation with domestic terrorists like Jason Fields. He's going to prison. This is P.O.C. Psychopathic pacing. 6WXR625. 9R, hold on, let me get this one. 8PGC151 and 9ROW813. Psychopathic pacing. The fake sun is still at this turn circle when I'm arriving at a later time, such as what I documented on December 18th after 1 p.m. 9MRF134. Psychopathic pacing. A population of stalkers are those that are in need of martial law and severe mental assistance. Okay, everybody inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, they're going to prison. They engage in kidnapping, and they're still engaged in their mentally ill and criminal conduct. And the entity that committed kidnapping at that bus stop, that's what they were doing at the OVITT Family Community Library. They committed kidnapping. All right? And they did so helping Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. Jason Fields is going to prison. Behind every kidnapping that was committed, he was getting my money, spending my money, enjoying my money, living a life that doesn't belong to him, an identity that does not belong to him. He is a hell-bound, hypersexual homosexual. Literally. And he's a pathetic being. He's an evil person, and he's a criminal. I'm not going to prosecute based on just criticizing your character. I'm going to prosecute you based on tangible evidence. Yes, he is evil, and he is hellbound, but he's a criminal. And that's how, and the evidence showing that is why he's going to prison. P.O.C. Psychopathic pacing. License 8DSK422. P.O.C. The fake son is over the OVITT Family Community Library. That committed kidnapping. It's 10:01 a.m. also. Oh, wrong one. Well, you want to open that one? You might want to. You can do it that. It should work. Oh no, I don't think so. Yeah, that's what I said. They just unlocked the doors. I guess they locked the doors again. No, it's open. You just saw the group of people going.
I was just reading a sign.
Oh, I was about to say. I thought you were
For the holidays.
Yeah. Oh, I guess they don't want to let us in.
I mean,
Mickey's in there.
no, it's just the holidays.
Mickey's right there at the circulation desk. No free books, is that what you said? This is P.O.C. Okay. Who we have?
They opened 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the doors are, I'll just make sure the doors are locked during business hours. This is the entity that's hostile to documentation, and the gang stalkers are out here locked out as well. It's the same targeting. The fake son is over me. This is P.O.C. Mickey is gang stalking, and she's engaged in what is a psychopath microaggressive means of harassment. Oh, you're locked out. We don't know that you're locked out while you are aware and you're engaging in that pattern of conduct. P.O.C. Yeah, the fake son is over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's over me at 646 West Holt Boulevard. The entity is not ignorant about my presence, and the entity is indeed engaged in targeting and harassment by blocking access into the library. All right, and of course, it's accidental. Oh, we did not know that you're locked out. Oh, we didn't know. You're going to diagnose that malicious pattern of conduct. Impossible Light is also moving inside of the library, which is also speaking to the entity that is intentionally targeting. You hear that demon accelerating? They're gang stalking while locking the door. This the entity is going to be diagnosed and prosecuted. And they're gang stalking with the same entity that's outside locked out with me, right? We're all in the same boat. Yeah, no, they're gang stalking. It's P.O.C. XRS, oh, and Ontario Police as well. XRS 144 and Ontario Police 1706921, vehicle 1127. This is the entity engaging what is threatening together. Mickey's going to prison. She's already going to prison. The fake son's here where Jay Sandoval's under the fake son at 8:39 in the morning. The fake son is here over me. That's the entity engaging in what is they're microaggressive personality disorders or passive-aggressive personality disorders where they engage in what is threatening your life in a manner that nobody else is supposed to be able to recognize. The fake son, while pacing with 8GLU179. The fake son, while C. Gerber is at the same town square parking lot at 6 p.m. They're going to prison. Jay Sandoval and C. Gerber are both going to federal prison while they're at the same location. And you're looking at the duration of time that the fake son, where they are stalking me as an agency, like they are now with the OVITT Family Community Library, angry because they're going to prison. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's 10:04 a.m. and this is the agency that committed kidnapping with this people of the state. Vehicle 1047, psychopathic pacing, Ontario Police, targeting while the OVITT Family Community Library keeps the entrance locked. OVITT Family Community Library is City of Ontario. P.O.C. This is the mental illness that is exhibited while the entity engages in what is acts of violence. Psychological torture is severe violence. It precedes murder in the same way that bathroom monitoring, the perpetual sex offense, is violence, and it precedes murder committed by stalkers of the Ontario Police Department and the people of the state. And this is what Hazelwood and Owens are committing at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake son is still remaining over me at that bus stop, as I've already documented. It's there after 12 o'clock, and as I document on December 18th, it's there when I'm at that bus stop at 1:30 in the afternoon. And you have the entity that is stalking with the airport, with the the police and the people of the state at the entrance. This is mental illness, and this is, again, Jason Fields that is going to prison. He's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is what the mentally ill do, and this is how they behave when they are caught. And this is why martial law is required. That's honking of the horn as I operate my device under the fake sun where the airport is stalking. It's license 7UXM283. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 third parties. 13, including those over and under the age of majority. Gang stalking at the entrance while OVITT Family Community Library intentionally keeps the door locked. And the intent is already deduced, extracted from the fact that you have the fake sun, you know where I'm at, and you are targeting me specifically. P.O.C. And also the government that's stalking. The police are stalking, and so is the Ontario International Airport that has everything you already know. There's no takeoffs over here. You're targeting the fake sun here. You're targeting the impossible light. You're targeting, and you're locking the door while the people of the state are gang stalking me at the entrance. And these are demons that are hostile to everything, the truth that I just spoke, and it's not changing. And they're going to be in federal courts. They're going to be in mental health courts. Hostile. Where they belong. They're going to be hostile then too. P.O.C. Are they closed today? Oh yeah, it's Saturday. Never mind. I went down to the Page One Cafe Inn to get in there, but I forgot. It's Friday through Sunday they're closed, so it's actually locked. But that is an alternative entrance. While the entity's locking the door, and they're doing so while they are hostile, it's a means of the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct there. In other words, these demons are mad. And I laugh at it, but what the mental illness by Owens and the people of the state and Hazelwood, that's a very serious threat. Okay, his mental illness is raging. He is very unstable. This is a male, a Caucasian male, bald head. He's got like warts all over his skull. And he's very much hostile as I critique the level of incompetence that he exhibits and the incompetence that they share because of their criminal activity. And the fact that I, by myself, understand the ego, the demonic spirit there, where the entity is very much humiliated and intimidated, and they're also humiliated because they're intimidated, because I maintain an investigation and exposed a so-called police department by myself. And I also critique you because you don't know the law. And you have Hazelwood that is clearly a stalker because we never had a conversation about me being an attorney. So when he's kidnapping me last night and he's making statements about the bar, and I never told him that. You're a stalker. We've never had a friendly conversation. I've documented every encounter, and there was never any personal information exchange. So he's sitting up doing research about me while he's obsessing over my content about that agency on the internet, perhaps. And that would be on the camera inside of the vehicle. They're recording while they're engaging in kidnapping and criminal surveillance, and they call it law enforcement. It's on camera, where he's talking about the bar, how the bar, which is a reference to my status as an attorney. He filled out the paperwork where he's admittedly engaged in kidnapping. All of the processes that they engage in, it's evidence of kidnapping, and they're going to prison with it. That's why I document it. The entity that's engaged in public corruption, they're engaged in criminal activity while they are posing and presenting as engaging in what is lawful conduct. So this is why the receipt at the grocery store is evidence to use against them. They're gang stalking, and it is the proof that you're gang stalking while I made this purchase, while I encountered you, while the entity is keeping that fake sun, stalking by the airport, stalking by the police department, stalking with impossible light, which I also show is ongoing at this venue, where that venue itself is threatening and sharing in that criminal system, and you are as well. In fact, you're also making money at it. That's the civil and criminal prosecution. And the entity is engaging in all manner of what is threatening you while they engage in what is obsessing over you. They're not only obsessing over me, they're obsessing over my evidence. And then they're retaliating, such as by kidnapping. This is what Jay Sandoval was engaging in. She was engaging in retaliation, threatening to commit kidnapping while you're stalking. Federal stalking statute, Title 18, sections 18 U.S.C. sections 22618, subsections 1 and 2, is trumping your reference to camping at the bus stop, when you are, by the way, the cause for that circumstance that I remain in. It's your criminal conduct. That is not a violation of the municipal code. It's your criminal activity under Title 18 while I'm at that bus stop. which is not a violation of me illegally camping. This is an entity that is delusional, and they're highly unintelligent. And that's where you see that unintelligence. Because you're mad, you engage in more obvious targeting. Stalking by the police, they're engaged in psychopathic, that's what that was. Pacing while you lock the door, and the demons are, the people of the state are monitoring. The airport is stalking. The police department are stalking. That's all the intellectually inferior know how to do. They are animals, so they are engaging in barking. They engage in scratching and biting. They don't know how to use words. They don't know how to engage in any intellectual communication. They don't know how to have a healthy exchange. And this is all culminated in what is a corrupt criminal system of gang stalking, where you engage in what is making threats because you are going to be prosecuted under all circumstances, and threatening is not going to change that. In fact, there's a federal charge. It's called obstruction of justice. That's what's happening. That's all that they do, and they engage in that same pattern over and 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 over again. That's all that they know how to do. This is why they also require martial law. Okay, these are indeed terrorists, and they do this to people that do not have any sort of way to defend or protect themselves, that don't have any evidence to prove it, who are being defamed, claiming that they're imagining it, they're paranoid, and no, they are not. And that's the entity that requires martial law. That's serious acts of violence committed by an entity that does that to American citizens and then does that to their character. That's all manner of what is a murder. All right? A murder is psychologically what you do to their character, how you assassinate them, and then they also physically take their lives. Okay, and as this entity has done stolen from me and then tried to gang stalk me to continue stealing, these are demons that have no plan. They had no plan for being exposed, and that's literally what they are showing. Once they were exposed, they just decided, okay, well, we're just going to keep on doing it anyway, and we're going to keep on doing it, and we're going to get the same response. No, that's insanity. Doing it got you exposed, and you decided to continuously do it, and now you're doing it in front of the whole world, and everybody knows what you're doing, and everybody knows what people in other places are doing now, and people also know about things that need to change based on what it is that this government is doing. A lot of laws need to change, and policies need to change, and perspectives need to change. While you perpetuate a lot of satanic ideals, consciously or unconsciously, it's a responsibility. It's satanic. It's serving the devil's purposes. But I just want to be clear, the entity is literally engaging. That's supposed to be a threat. I laugh at that. This is again, the entity that's, again, in every regard inferior to me and is also fearful of me. They worship me, and they're also embarrassed by those same facts. You're stalking me in a police vehicle. That directly rebuts the fact that I should be scared of you being the police. You're stalking me. Okay, and you're engaging in what is kidnapping while you're bearing a gun. Now, I'm always analyzing reasonably under the law. It's reasonable fear. It's again, the reasonable harms, etc. But I am not. I am logically looking. I have a sober mindset regarding everything that this entity is doing. Why would I be scared of you stalking me in a helicopter? Actually scared of you. You went through all of that time and money, and all the people that are behind that to go. Oh, there she is over there, and all of that over me. Am I supposed to be scared of what? You literally are at my feet, worshiping me. Why? I'm not scared of that. That's a demon also. Those are demons. They are inherently inferior. And they also don't have any intelligent response. When they were caught, the evidence shows that they continuously engaged in it, not having a plan. Now, the entity, a plan to avert what is danger in a federal prosecution. And not only that, that shows not only the fact that this is not a strategic, formidable adversary, but it's showing that the entity is determined to continuously engage in criminal conduct that was alleged at the outset, that they were engaging in the entire time. They are proving the truth of what it is that I've stated from the beginning, in addition to my own tangible evidence that is unilaterally proving it. The entity is proving the truth of what it is that I've been stating from the beginning. So you're just going to just make it happen. What are you doing? Everybody's looking at you like, what are you doing? What is your plan here? Like, what's the end game here? Like, what exactly are you going to move this? Like, the federal government's like, no, you're not going to do that. Everybody's watching you, and I am not going to let you have anything. That's not happening. So what exactly is your plan here? When the fact that you've conspired my murder as a whole government system and a whole population that's mentally ill, both stalking in a whole fake environment with impossible light. Hi, am I talking too loud? Oh, okay. I'll settle it down. What's your name again? Vanessa? Okay, thanks, Vanessa. While the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and I'm speaking too loud while they stalk with ongoing amplified noise and impossible light activity, which is very, very loud and threatening. Okay, that's an employee. The entity that's engaging in that is doing so while they are engaging in a pattern of conduct, not having an actual strategy, number one, but they're also showing that they are determined to continue in a plot to murder somebody, and that they're just going to do it all over the news. They're going to do it all on the news. They're going to do it on the internet. And then also, they're so magical that you're seeing them, but you're not seeing them, and you're not going to know what's happening. That's literally what you're witnessing. Like, what is your plan here? What is your plan here? Because you're never supposed to be gang stalking in plain view like the city of Ontario is, like the state of California is. All right? I just want to be clear on that. And what the city of Ontario is doing, the Ontario Police Department, they're threatening, as I'm referring to their co-defendant, Jason Fields, they are threatening as the entity locks the doors of this OVITT Family Community Library. They're doing so not ignorantly, intentionally with regard to targeting me. The fake sun is over me while the people of the state are gang stalking, and the demons of the Ontario Police are engaged in psychopathic pacing, just like they are at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun has abandoned that position to target me at the OVITT Family Community Library, where on December 18th, it still wasn't even here until after 1:30 when I arrived, in that airport, and that police department is stalking, and so is that population. So you're engaging what is locking me out of the establishment while telling me to please keep it down, which is, again, the entity that is monitoring and is also very much mentally ill. You're gang stalking, but you like to stalk me and terrorize with impossible light activity that's very loud and disruptive. In fact, it's psychologically harmful, and it's in furtherance of murder. But this is the P.O.C. All right, it's currently 10:16 a.m. and the fake sun is way ahead of schedule while the Ontario Police are monitoring, listening to the evidence as it is being documented that's relevant to the entity conspiring together. And this is relevant to what the entity has done to itself. You're going to prison. That's you. You're the one that's going to be locked up. You're the one that in court, there is no defense that you have, and there will be no ongoing back and forth. There is not going to be any serious litigious endeavor regarding defend. There's no controversy. There's no mystery here. It is unequivocal targeting, unambiguous stalking, terrorism, clear cut. That was fully prosecuted on the internet, and then all of that which I am subject to, the entity is again gang stalking while you are stalking me at 3 o'clock in the morning with a police uniform on. And this is the stalking conduct that you're engaging while you wear that police uniform, referring to the municipal code, which again, Hazelwood cannot spell. He can't spell municipal. All right, again, engaging that while you're engaged in federal stalking, Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2, and is but for gang stalking me, I'm living probably not even in California. Okay, I'm somewhere else minding my business, but this entity's been minding my business, and now it's my business to prosecute you. That's my business. Being at the bus bench is the criminal conduct. It's precipitating from the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department, of Hazelwood, of the people of the state. And then you use what is the municipal code to prosecute for that's that mental illness, that this is a whole corrupt operation. You're so sick, and I'm going to prosecute you. I'm going to prosecute you. You're sick. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:18 a.m. on all right, license plate 9 Victor Barry Edward 163, Allied Universal, also stalking inside of that parking garage at 320 North Euclid Avenue. License 87335 Jerry 3, 9 Paul Kelly Paul 790, Jerry Wendy Sam Queen, that's JWSQ. And this third party is stalking in the path at the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments at 8:53 a.m. at the same time that the Ontario International Airport is stalking, meaning they're engaged in pacing together, driving out of the parking garage, crossing path with impossible light, moving across the ceiling inside of that parking garage, and engineer light that's across into the depths underneath inside of that parking garage. All of that is impossible light activity. Also, it's not the sun, and doing so while the entity is stalking by commercial plane, targeting in the same environment with the people of the state, doing so together at 8:53 a.m. License 8 Barry Henry George 568, and Saris Regis Group, the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. They're engaged in the sexual assault and battery molestation via engineer light, while that company, that facilitating venue, is acting as an entity engaging in the pattern of conduct and furtherance of my murder. License 7 Sam Edward Charlie 977. This is all psychopathic pacing. They're all going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth while the fake son remains over me, and they do so in that crime scene. And this is the entity that committed kidnapping as well, theft of my property, and this makes them feel better based on them keeping my evidence that they do not like. They don't like the way I talk about the fact that you're a sex offender, vagina monitor, and you're a threat to children, and that's a fact. The fact that you're being deported as an enemy of the country, gang stalking as an immigrant, that's a fact. It's not changing. So you're going to take your angry self to prison. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And license 3 Paul Apple Robert 590, 6 Xavier Wendy 249, 738 38 Zebra 3, 7 Robert Wendy Edward 820, 7 Mary Paul David 694, 9 Barry Jerry 278, 9 Uncle Henry Paul 773, Robert Mary 027 handicap. The entities engage in this pattern of conduct with the state. So the city of Ontario represents the state. I'm in the state of California, in the city of Ontario, and specifically along Euclid Avenue where the fake sun rises and sets over me. And this is exactly what the pattern of conduct wherever I'm at. So when I'm at the Economy Inn at 231 South Euclid Avenue, this is a tremendous departure from this fake sun rising and setting on Euclid Avenue between C and F as in Frank, and it keeps it over that hotel as I already documented from sunrise till sunset. The same thing at Woodside Senior Apartments. That fake sun doesn't move. It remains literally it's not over the entire apartment complex. It's over Tracy Banks's apartment on the east side of Unit 51, setting on the west side of Unit 51, while it remains specifically over the in alignment with my person where Tracy Banks's apartment is at Woodside Senior Apartments. So that specific sidewalk. All right. It's the same thing with regard to the Ovitt Family Community Library. These are demons inside of the building under a fake sun that's present from all manner of times. And as I also show you that ongoing contradiction, it's here now, but on the 18th, it wasn't here because there's not more than one sun, right? We can all agree, even fifth graders that are more learned than the demon possessed understand that. And that fake sun that's remaining over me on December 18, 2025, and is moving as I move en route to this address where the demon possessed are telling me to keep the volume down while they're gang stalking me, are engaging in what is keeping that fake sun, and that airport is stalking by flying over that same apartment building, this same Ovitt Family Community Library at 1:30 in the afternoon, where that fake sun would not only not be here while it's here in the morning, but it would not be here traveling over me en route to this venue where it's already here at an earlier hour. This is the retardation of the entity that is gang stalking. And they do things like fly into the fake sun. They do things like showing the desperation. That desperation is a direct indicator regarding mental illness. That desperation is an ongoing indication regarding a national security threat. Flying into buildings and murdering people. Flying into bodies of water. Engaging in what are mass acts of violence. And doing so and then attributing it to something other than what it is, the demon-possessed that are engaging in a state targeting system. And these demons are sleepers. So when Satan tells them to act, that's exactly what they do. They act. They grab whatever, they get into their vehicle, they go and attack however many people. This is the threat of that entity that is engaged in the organized crime, which is relevant to criminal surveillance. This is P.O.C. It's 10:23 a.m. on Saturday, December 7th, 2025. 8YCJ191, stalking with the Ontario Police. And that's a police department that's still engaged in what is threatening my life as I document them. The same police department that committed kidnapping and was referring to the municipal code while they're in violation of federal stalking statute 18, amongst many others, including it's a violation of the penal code to conspire the murder of an American citizen, which is what Mike Lorenz, Hazelwood, Owens, the Ontario Police Department are engaging in while they refer to the municipal code to engage in stalking me and kidnapping me while they're stalking in helicopter with that third party in that license plate as a sex offender sharing in sexual assault and battery. And they're also sharing that with this license. Ovitt Family Community Library is engaged in that as well. License 9NTD875, 7TEZ520, 8UUH609, 8FGB609, sexual assault and battery with the Ontario Police, conspiring by murder and committing kidnapping. African American female, RGS940. That's a blue license plate. It's out of state with the yellow characters. It's like New Mexico, I believe. It's P.O.C. It's currently 5:19 p.m. The Ontario Police are going to be subject to federal prison for kidnapping me while they are engaged in stalking me. like I documented before, like I'm documenting now after every kidnapping, and they sharing that. And that's the psychopathic pattern of conduct. The audacity to be stalking someone as a police department and then kidnapping them and claiming to be engaged in law enforcement. They're going to be diagnosed and they're going to prison. It's P.O.C. Hey, Mickey, how's it going? I'm well, thank you. All right, Mickey is engaged in stalking with the Ontario Police Department as well. So is Yesenia Rivas, so is Katie. So are the demons inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. The Ontario Police is right outside of the door, stalking me by helicopter, and they're stalking inside of a building. P.O.C. This is 215 E.C. Street. This is stalking coming from behind. This is nothing but houses back here. This is stalking by the City of Ontario. And all of a sudden the sound just randomly starts while they've been rising. It's not the sound of the planes. These are demons crossing paths together. This is the psychopathic pacing they're engaging in. This is demonic activity. One vehicle after another after another. 8TXN554. Old Caucasian couple. Psychopathic pacing, Lemon Avenue. Psychopathic pacing, one demon after another. This is what they're doing under a fake sun that's over me. 9MX3095. And it's a molestation. 5FHF706. This is P.O.C. Chevron is gang stalking, engaged in the conspiracy to murder. So is ARCO, so is Starbucks, so is the UNICARE. Those are the venues right here. So is the Ontario Veterinary Hospital. This is where they committed the battery. And the Ontario police were stalking by helicopter flying over this building right here and stalking by plane, pacing back and forth while the Chucky doll committed battery on behalf of the entity. And all their shadows were all over the parking lot going in contradictory directions. And this is where the entity is also keeping the fake sun, as I've documented, from morning until night. That is the mentally ill behavior of the entity, the gang stalking airports that are engaged in the conspiracy to commit murder, engaging in psychopathic, certifiable conduct such as stalking in a commercial plane. That's P.O.C. It is currently 5:15 p.m. The mental illness is shared by the population. They're all stalking together. And this is, again, what needs to be known. It's a national security threat while the government engages in this public corruption, organized crime. And this is a failed sacrifice. The criminal conspiracy to commit murder remains underway, though, and they're going to be prosecuted for this. This is P.O.C. This is domestic terrorism. These are psychopaths. P.O.C. License plate 8ZKR878. Stalking with the Ontario Police Department by helicopter. This is what they're doing while I was walking to the library. This is psychopathic pacing while they're going back and forth. Remember, they're an engineer light. And this is certifiable conduct. This is surveillance. Here's my shadow over here. And here's my shadow over here. They're stalking. This is the downtown Ontario luxury apartments where the fake sun was over while I was documenting psychopathic pacing by demons in engineer light at the same apartment complex, the same OVITT Family Community Library, where the sun's there at 10 o'clock when I'm here at 10 o'clock, and it's not there, and it's over here at 1:30 when I arrive, and the entity is gang stalking with the airport and the police. 8KJD094, that's light activity while they turn the lights off. This is the entity that's engaged in psychopathic pacing. Alrighty, that's the pattern of conduct. The entities OVITT, Mickey's inside, gang stalking. Katie's inside, gang stalking. Dylan of Securitas is inside, gang stalking. They committed kidnapping with the same agency. They're going to federal prison for the June 16, 2022 kidnapping. The kidnapping that you see exhibited by the demon-possessed Ontario police at the bus stop, where the fake sun is rising and remaining for the duration of the day over me. This department right here engaged in kidnapping with this venue where they're stalking me, again, using helicopters. That's the entity that's engaged in what is terrorism. Psychopathic pacing and engineer light. 8BXH473, 7NFY321, back and forth, and that's what a demon is doing in helicopters. Hazelwood's going to prison. He already knew that, though. This is a suicidal psychopath, and he engaged in what is kidnapping, having nothing to lose. And that's also why Jason Fields is going to prison. This is pacing on the road. This is pacing in the sky space. That's the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaging in that while they're doing so with the entity. Sarah's Regis Group is gang stalking the Ontario Town Square, the 280 North Lemon Apartments. This is surveillance. And so is the Wells Fargo, just like they were, as indicated under a fake sun, and as the Ontario International Airport exhibits, engaging in that conduct. And they are gang stalking in concert with the OVITT Family Community Library, 215 EC Street. Everybody in there, including Taylor, that's Taylor, is engaging in the pattern of conduct. All right, this is P.O.C. Let me show you my shadow right here on this side. That's the pattern of conduct, engineer light. That's not caused by any headlights. That's a demon. Psychopathic pacing. They're doing this at the bus stop for over an hour. All right, they're engaging in this conduct over me at the Ontario Town Square. As I'm documenting, I've also documented hour-long psychopathic pacing. The entities engaging what is stalking by flying in circles by helicopter where they're exhibiting their mental illness and it's on full display. This is going to be played in courtrooms. It's also going to be studied with regard to prosecuting terrorism by the demon-possessed and relevant to what is martial law. These are murderers that commit kidnapping while they're stalking wearing police uniforms, and they do so with the people. They're the ones that engage in criminal summoning, like what OVITT Family Community Library did. June 16, 2022. They engage in criminal summoning under the 12:14 p.m. fake sun at this same venue. Remember, this is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct together as one. It's 5:56 p.m. Alrighty, the entity is indeed engaged in the ongoing pacing conduct and the mentally ill. They are absurdly psychotic, stalking all around. They're cockroaches with the engineer light. So they're scattered all over Lemon, all over C Street, and the entity, the demon-possessed Ontario Police Department, is engaged in this is failed witchcraft. And their mental illness is exposed while they engage in the system of what is gang stalking. These are demons chanting, running around in circles, screaming at the top of their lungs under a fake moon, wearing hooded robes, and they're doing so under at nightfall while they call themselves engaging in witchcraft, and it's actually mentally ill, certifiable conduct, and they do so in furtherance of murdering people. The entity engages in what are acts of violence, like at the veterinary hospital with the Ontario Police. They do so while they're engaging in this ongoing psychopathic ritual, which is failed witchcraft. They do so while they are triggered by the evidence against them. That same triggering reaction to the evidence about them is what is the ongoing kidnapping that occurs at 3 o'clock in the morning, where Hazelwood is pacing, just like the demon-possessed are pacing right now on a helicopter with engineer light. Hazelwood is pacing with the same people of the state. License 6 UKT 520. Stalking with the Ontario Police, engaged in criminal monitoring, and committed kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. P.O.C. Alrighty, it's currently, by the way, 5:57 p.m. So that video that you're listening to is video that is relevant to the visual, because the entity is engaged in that ongoing pacing. Begins the pacing, as you can hear on video. That pacing conduct, that's conspicuous stalking, because the Ontario Police are always stalking. They're engaged in 24-hour surveillance. That begins at 5:53 p.m. and it's 5:57 p.m. So the demons are pacing out of the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. Everybody that's in there on the computers, everybody that's checking out, everybody that's inside of the venue, including Mickey, who's engaged in criminal summoning, as I documented, at 8:38 in the morning while she's arriving to work. These are the demons that engage in strategic means of conspicuous stalking, and she's going to prison. And the entity she's inside of the OVITT Family Community Library stalking right now as well, as is every other employee. That's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are being exposed for engaging in what is gang stalking via the municipal code, kidnapping via the municipal code while they're engaged in federal stalking under Title 18. And I want to be clear, Jason Fields is kidnapping with the Ontario Police. He is no investigator. He's a stalker and a co-conspirator of murder, and he's going to prison while his co-defendants are exhibiting the shared mental illness that he suffers from, which is the basis to put him in prison. That's where he's going, and he will also never be stepping foot in my path. He has no custody of any property that belongs to me. He is the same terrorist, and he will not be having any conversation with me while he is threatening my life, while his co-defendant is gang stalking me and then defaming my name on the internet as though you engaged in any lawful arrest while I was engaged in any criminal conduct. They're the ones that are engaging in federal stalking, doing so in furtherance of murder, exhibiting severe mental illness and open corruption, and then engaging in what is blatant kidnapping, like what Hazelwood and what Owens commit with this same psychopathic entity, while they are engaged in what is then obsessing over my documentation, the evidence that's all over the internet, while they give me the evidence against them. Jason Fields will not be coming into my presence at all. He's as delusional and psychotic. He is equally perverted. He is equally delusional, and he is going to prison. Just like the demon in that helicopter, the entity that's engaged in this has been engaged in years of defaming my character while this stalking has been underway, this blatant harassment, the public nuisance by the demon possessed, who are cockroaches scattering all over the place in the engineer light, which you can see in the video that I captured. P.O.C. license plate JLR6JMR. And the entity engages in that while you listen to what it is that I document. The entity is engaging in what is communicating a threat, having the audacity to engage in stalking while you commit kidnapping. And that's exactly what the terrorists communicate, that they are absolutely engaging in stalking after committing a kidnapping. And that's not going to be missed when Mike LORENZ is in prison. He's going to be sentenced to prison. It's not going to be missed when that entire department is disbanded, because they're all out of a job, and they're out of not only a job, they're out of law enforcement. 9AJV714. license plate. I read these license plate, and this is a clear communication of a threat by terrorists who commit serial killings, and their mental illness is exhibited while they do so as what are satanic rituals in honor of Satan, when all they're doing is psychopathic pacing. 9NKX340, stalking with the Ontario Police Department, includes 8AKG661, doing so in furtherance of murder, doing so as a maniacal psychopath that's hostile and takes out their aggression with the stalkers that use helicopters as an entity stalking together. All right, that's relevant to the video that you just listened to on the podcast, and that's the entity that's, again, they're stalking and obsessed with me. And they committed kidnapping because they're obsessed and humiliated, basically, and they're also a bunch of overgrown homosexual males and homosexual predators, the females that are obsessed with my vagina as well. These are demons that are engaging in mentally ill behavior. They're just stalkers. They're not magicians. But this is exposing what is witchcraft, which is very real, and it's by the demon possessed. These are demons. And you're exposing what is nothing other than criminal activity. What's magical about that, what they just did? Because it's witchcraft, but there's nothing magical about it. And it's proven through tangible evidence with which I'm going to prosecute, and there's no illusion there either. This is the entity that's engaging that while they engage in federal stalking, even keeping my evidence under surveillance. And there's sex offenders that even molest, engage in sexual violence with engineered light while they exhibit obsession with me. 9BLR255. P.O.C. Stalking and molesting, sexual assault and battery. That's the male gang stalking on the computer stations inside of OVITT Family Community Library. He's a serial stalker and he's documented as such. He wears glasses and likes to engage in surveillance in the bathroom, keeping my vagina under surveillance. It's currently 6:02 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the OVITT Family Community Library, 215 E.C. Street, 224 North Euclid Avenue, the Ontario Town Square, 240 North Euclid Avenue, the Wells Fargo, 280 North Lemon Apartments, the Ontario City Senior Apartments, and the 320 North Euclid Avenue, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. And I'm also documenting the entity that's gang stalking, and those are the venues that are in relevant position. It includes the Ontario City Hall, it includes the Ontario Fire Department, it includes the UNICARE College of Law, the University of Laverne College of Law. Those are not demons that are going to be practicing law. They're engaging in what is this documentation, which is going to serve for a massive prosecution of everybody, a massive means of enforcing federal policy to prosecute everyone that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. Allied Universal, you'll see them pacing just like they were this morning at the parking garage under the fake sun. Allied Universal are hostile demons that are engaging what is the aggressive pattern of conduct because I documented the puppet of Satan, that is the CEO of that company. And as you document Satan, as you identify, as you expose them, they'll engage in more and more acts of terrorism, and that's fine. I'm going to prosecute that company. I'm going to prosecute the demons operating those commercial vehicles while they are engaging in stalking and furtherance of murder and keeping the evidence under surveillance so it informs their criminal activity. And that detailed evidence is speaking to what is your ongoing pattern of conduct with the Ontario police. We're microaggressive psychopaths who are sex offenders, and they're also engaging in pedophilia. This is the same type of psychological warfare they use against children that they have sex with, while they call that witchcraft as well. Is that magical, or is it merely pedophilia and perversion? Because the demon-possessed think that they're gaining some sort of sexual power from it, and they're not. In the same way, you're not magical, and you're not a warlock, you're not a witch, you're a stalker, and you're a psychopath engaging in certifiable conduct that everybody can clearly see. There's no illusion of power there. And you're also intimidated by me, and you're engaging in what is a kidnapping, and you're going to be behind bars for that. What's magical about that? Everybody can see Hazelwood's mental illness in clear view. And they can also see how you're obsessed with me, the entire department, including Mike LORENZ, a vagina monitor. Wasting millions of dollars on stalking me, what's magical about you? You go out of your way to tell the world how important I am to you. You go out of your way to engage in what is telling everyone how much of a wonderful person I am. That's why you're stalking me. That's why you make up ways to touch me and be around me, such as stalking with light under a fake sun, 32459K3 included. You go out of your way to engage in what is giving me worship. You bow before Erica Lorraine Spencer, and that's the reality. I don't have to make up anything. And you do that because you're inferior demons who are prosecuted. I want to be clear, you've been prosecuted and exposed on the internet. And I've already engaged in what is not only this online litigation, I've already prosecuted you with regard to what's going to happen in the four walls of a tribunal. And that's the entity that's suicidal, that already knows that it lost. That's why you have that obvious stalking flying around in circles for hours. That's the entity that already knows that it's over. And it is over. Hazelwood's another suicidal psychopath, pacing on the sidewalk at 3 o'clock in the morning, stalking with light, exhibiting mental illness, all that light activity. It's not because it's nightfall. It's in the engineer light. This demon is stalking, and he's exhibiting mental illness while he's pacing around with another third party while I'm asleep, engaging in a battery, referring to the municipal code that he has no authority under while he is stalking. Just like that agency just demonstrated again, and like they have been, and like they always do after they engage in another kidnapping. And all of this is relevant to what is this thieving demon, this hypersexual psychopath, Jason Fields, who is going to prison. Okay, P.O.C. This is an Asian male, license 9 Victor Sam Uncle 481. He's in the parking garage stalking with the Ontario Police Department, a co-conspirator of my murder. Just want to be clear on that. And the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct with the people of the state who are all engaging in that conduct together. And this is the entity that's doing so while they are stalking as a city. And they're doing so with regard to, again, the domestic terrorist leader of the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police Department. Those are terrorists and stalkers. Those are psychopaths. They're engaged in certifiable conduct, and they're going to be removed from the position based on how unfit they are mentally and how incompetent they are while they're engaged in stalking and not law enforcement. And moreover, now you're just witnessing the fact that they've been merely humiliated by one woman that they thought that they were just going to take out, and it was going to be an easy lick, and it's nothing whatsoever. They have been intellectually outmaneuvered, and they have been humiliated and prosecuted altogether. 9KQB755 is a feces consumer stalking and engaging in mentally ill certifiable conduct with a so-called police department. They're stalkers. It's P.O.C. You waste that fuel, you waste that time, you waste all that energy and flying in circles. You do not look powerful, you look crazy. That's the pattern of conduct, though. It's 6:06 p.m. at the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. Alrighty, license plate 91064L3. Stalking with the Ontario Police, engaging in sexual assault and battery, 9UPB151. The same, stalking with the Ontario Police, engaging in what is Title 18 with the intent to obstruct justice, meaning you're engaging in sexual violence and harassment and doing so with the intent to threaten my life, and that's absolutely threatening to an American citizen who's being stalked by the police, who then engage in kidnapping while they have created that circumstance because they're stalking you and then are referring to parts of the law that you're violating. And not as though I'm stealing something, because the entities engaging in what is interfering with my liberty right, creating an economic circumstance, and then engaging in what is an unlawful eviction with Tracy Banks, stalking and doing so, and then engaging in what is the municipal code. They're stalking from place to place to place, including in any place where I'm remaining, like a hotel room, where they're also stalking there, including in my home, like LAPD, where they're stalking there, including in the workplace, like the Los Angeles Police Department, stalking there. That's the pattern of conduct, and the entity is going to prison. This is the blatant criminal conduct that the entity has been committed. The entity includes Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, who have been engaged in defaming my character, and this is the evidence that the entity was abusing and twisting, making me appear one way when they are the demons who are mentally sick. Mentally sick. The entity is not only going to be disbanded for what the Ontario Police has committed, it's for what they're still committing and what they're facilitating a population to engage in. The Ontario Police are a threat to children and society. That's the reason why, in addition to kidnapping, that they are going to be disbanded. 7WGH214. License plate, they're engaged in what is psychopathic pacing, mentally ill behavior while they're engaged in monitoring. Monitoring is a criminal act. It's relevant to surveillance. It's under Title 18 federal stalking, and it's surveillance that's committed in furtherance of murder. And their mentally ill behavior, stalking me, engaging in psychopathic pacing in that helicopter, these are the mentally ill. They're engaging in what is failed witchcraft. They engage in this practice of witchcraft, stalking, and doing so. It's stalking, but it's spiritually significant. These are the demon possessed that engage in what is going to be used against you in your mental health case. And not only is it certifiable, they do this while they murder people. They engage in their rituals, they engage in pacing, and they do this in the engineer light while they are murdering people in honor of Satan. The Ontario Police Department, that entire agency, and the one that you see up close, Owens and Hazelwood, these are severely ill psychopaths. And those two are going to prison amongst many others, but you need to understand that they are willing to go to prison while they're stalking me. They're willing to. And so is Jason Fields. He's going to prison. License 8, Apple Kelly George 661. Sexual assault and battery, stalking with the police in furtherance of murder, and engaging in harassment and terrorism with intent to obstruct justice, meaning you're stalking and harassing, engaging in that conduct, that psychopathic conduct that's bearing a reflection on you, and it's going to be relevant in your criminal case, but they're doing so with regard to terrorizing the ordinary target individual because they're being documented, because they're hostile to what's being stated. And not only is it still remaining on the record, it's going to be played in court. It's going to be relevant to prosecuting an entity of immigrants, an entity of those in custodial capacity of with regard to children, of those that are engaging in terrorism, having committed kidnapping, any type of criminal summoning. They're going to prison. License 9B LR 255. The stalkers using the helicopters, the heliport, the operation of the airport, the entity is going to be prosecuted accordingly. You're going to prison, and you're going to mental asylum, stalking in planes and helicopters. 9D RM 429. And you're going to prison as an agency that facilitated criminal defamation in order to aid Fields and aid Tracy Banks in stealing my property, stealing my identity, thinking that you're going to steal my intellectual property, that you're going to get away with it through the gang stalking conduct like what the Ontario Police Department have committed. Okay, this is the entity that creates what is that criminal defamation that's on the video of the internet. The video of the internet, in other words, surveillance is underway on the internet, so it's nothing other than a place where you can prosecute based on the pattern of conduct. But the entity that's engaging in criminal defamation that serves a criminal purpose, license 81209 Henry 3. The criminal pattern of conduct is served while the entity is engaging in defamation, meaning it's defamation that is accomplished that helps Jason Fields steal my property, steal my home, steal my money. 9 SEC 977, I documented that demon this morning. They're stalking with the Ontario Police. Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments engaged in specifically stalking, psychopathic pacing. Sarah's Regis Group engaged in what a documented act of retaliation and furtherance of my murder while I documented this apartment building and these demons this morning. That's what's behind their pettiness. That's going to put them in prison for a series of years. 7BXT 536. P.O.C. That's what's relevant. That's why they're pacing right here. That's the sophomoric / psychopathic intent behind what they do, as they do it, where they do it. All right, this is relevant to that. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:12 p.m. That's the entity that is indeed suicidal. That's the entity that will engage in what are murdering other people, even if it's going to result in their loss of life. It's going to result in what is some sort of harm to them. The mind state behind the demon-possessed who are mentally ill, and this is again removal of the demon-possessed that are of the Ontario Police. They are focused on what in their mind is harming another person, even if it's not actually harming another person. Under the law, I'm prosecuting and enforcing my rights, but the entity is obsessed with me. They're consumed with me, and I'm just prosecuting them. So you are under all circumstances hurting your own interests. You're going to prison. You're going into asylums. You're being exposed citywide, statewide, worldwide. There are ongoing repercussions regarding that, and it's all based on what is your obsession with things like my exposure regarding what is proof of you engaging in unprecedented criminal conduct, your obsession with my vagina. They know a whole plethora of things about you by your gang stalking me. License 7SGC866. And this is an entity that does that while they're just focused on, oh, she was documenting us. She said this about downtown Ontario. She said this. She read my license plate here. So they engage in psychopathic pacing, a documented pattern of conduct by multiple police departments who are obsessing over me in conformity to the pattern of conduct to commit murder, which is the U.S. government system. And that is evidence that's remaining on the internet, and that is evidence that remains legally relevant. The entity is obsessed with me and is not logical. These are not reasonable beings. These are the mentally ill who are demon-possessed. They are already dead. Okay? And they're very suicidal. That's letting you know about their tendencies. Very suicidal. A lot of self-loathing. 9 UCB 706. P.O.C. That's what's behind that entity engaging in that. To its own demise. But it makes a psychopath feel better. Oh, I feel better. I get that violence out while you're going to prison for it. Okay? That's the pattern of conduct. It remains on the record. We're looking at what the demons were doing in 2021 at the Ontario Museum, 9RDP 050, with the people of the state. It's sitting on the record. It's sitting on the record in 2022. It's sitting on the record in 2024 and 2025, and before that, in 2018, when the entities long forgotten about that because they're psychopaths that are thinking about right now and they're engaging in violence. That's the entity that commits murder for much less than documentation like I have. And they do not think twice about it. 8XRY068, 7MUX903. These are suicidal demons that sent out death magic, and they've also killed themselves in that regard. That's why they're also mentally ill, and they're going to continuously unravel psychologically because of the witchcraft that they've been playing in. You're looking at the evidence of their certifiable status while they're stalking in things like planes and helicopters and engaging in what is doing nothing other than going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Stalking one person who is not confused, who's putting it all over the internet. And not only that, I'm embarrassing them while I do it. And I do that on purpose. And matter of fact, you could watch the video on mute because they're embarrassing themselves. You don't have to listen to me critique it and scrutinize it and analyze it and prosecute with it. You can watch it on mute and it's certifiable conduct. This is the entity that's engaged in that because they are indeed providing evidence regarding what was already going to happen. Hazelwood's going to prison. The Ontario police that are stalking me at the 320 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake Sun and UPS is stalking this morning during the 7 a.m. hour, and where the fake Sun and UPS are stalking under the fake Sun after 4 p.m., like I made the connection to. Are you guys leaving right now? Oh, okay. Yes, I'm coming. Where the entities engage in, this is the entity that's monitoring, the one that I'm dealing with diplomatically, and they're part of that threat. But this is you're going to prosecute, that's malice. But I just want to be clear, the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so where UPS is gang stalking under the fake Sun. You look at the YouTube video that I published at 7:56, and after 4 p.m., the entity has this fake Sun still here, and UPS is gang stalking. That's certified. That it is no surprise, in other words, that UPS committed murder in Kentucky. And these are the things that I'm telling you about. That's what's wrong. The Ontario Police are being disbanded. They are a threat to the public, and they are very much suicidal. P.O.C. It's 6:16 p.m. One 167-748, 1697748. That's the Ontario Police, and this is psychopathic pacing. They were just stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. That's following from place to place, and so are the people of the state. Alrighty, here's my shadow here, and here's another shadow right here, and here's another shadow over here. The Ontario Police engage in what is ongoing gang stalking, that ongoing act of stalking you as a population, targeting you amongst the population, that ongoing psychological torture, that harassment, that targeting conduct, that ongoing humiliation amongst an entity. This is what they do with regard to what is ritual. It's ritualistic, it's demonic, it's mentally ill, it's depraved, and it's also criminal. And it's in furtherance of murder. The Ontario Police are being disbanded. Those are stalkers. They're not engaged in law enforcement, and so are the 9KHV 801. That's actually federal prison in the ways in which the entity is going to be prosecuted under federal law. This is P.O.C. at Cucamonga, and what is the intersection? I'll get the other street over here, but I want to get, this is the McDonald's on Cucamonga, and I am in a parking lot behind here. And the entity, again, that I come with, they're threatening my life, gang stalking me, impossible light activities, what you see on the inside of that van. And that's impossible light while I'm being targeted, monitored in the back of that van. And it is the entity that's maintaining the elements together. Your shadow is not going to fan all around you on the sidewalk. They're all stalking. And so are the demons who are the Ontario Police, psychopathic pacing. They're mentally ill. No wonder you saw them stalking in helicopter doing this. That's what this is. One demon after another, crossing path, crossing path. On the surface, you're looking at traffic. This is light activity, relevant positioning, and audible activity. It's mental illness. Mental illness. And they commit murder as an entity. They commit murder. This is P.O.C.